Girl, I don't want to sign no papers. Get my epidural already. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. Just like the video said, I hope I get an epidural this time. But honestly, I'm going to be telling you about each of my births. Right now, a little background, I have 4 children right now, 3 boys and 1 girl, and I'm pregnant with my 5th child, which is a girl. Now, each of my pregnancies were similar, but we're going to get into that, as the video progresses. Okay, so like I said, I have 4 kids right now. Their ages are 6, 5, 4, and 2. My first 3 are boys, and my last one is a girl. This is Mari. He's 6. This is Vance. This is Elias. And this is my only girl for right now, Samara. Okay, so let's get into it. So I had my first child at I think I was 20 or 21. I want to say 21. He was born December of 2017. A pregnancy, I had healthy pregnancies with all my kids. For my first child, actually, Shamar, his name is Shamar, not Mari, but Shamar. For my first child, I got pregnant with him, I want to say March. Yeah, around March. It had to be March. I got pregnant with him around March. With him, I was sick the entire pregnancy, and that's a common pregnancy symptom, nothing serious. I was sick, I would say the first and second trimester, like throwing up nonstop. Like I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to smell or eat shrimp. I didn't want to smell or eat steak. None of that. Like I could not take it. Like it was just, that was the only hard part about the pregnancy. I wouldn't say I had any health issues with him or myself. Now, a little story about that. I said like the smells and stuff got me during my first pregnancy. For example, we had shrimp in the refrigerator or whatever, in the freezer. And I like, even the thought of, shrimp, it just made me sick. We had it in the freezer. I told my husband, I was like, look, I'm going to have to get that out of the refrigerator. Can you just throw the shrimp out or something? This man gonna come cook the shrimp, come in the room and eat it to get rid of the shrimp. Tell us, I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm trying to get rid of it. I was like, whatever. But that's a symptom I had. So really, I had food aversion with shrimp and steak. And just, the regular morning sickness. I would call it all day sickness, but I was sick with him the first and second trimester. The third trimester, it kind of eased up, so it got better. The only issue I had with him, and it wasn't even like a big issue, is that he had IUGR. And IUGR, which is intrauterine growth restriction, meaning he wasn't growing at a rate that he should inside of me. So they wanted to induce me, but my water ended up breaking. And I ended up having him. But the funny thing about that, I had his baby shower December 16th, right? And looking back, I probably gave the doctors the wrong first date of my last period, because his due date that they gave me was January 2nd. So he came December 17th, but my water broke by 11:30 at night on December 16th. And when my water broke, I'm thinking like I was supposed to have contractions as soon as my water broke. This is my first child. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I thought I was supposed to have contractions or whatever, as soon as my water broke. So it broke probably 11:45 at night. I'm just sitting down waiting for the contractions. I called I was like, hey, my water broke. I don't know what to do. Obviously she drove me to the hospital. We got to the hospital. Oh, and also my husband was in Florida when my water broke. But we thought, obviously we thought he was supposed to come in January, but I guess not, whatever. So he was on the way back from Florida, let me say that. So my water broke, and I arrived at the hospital, whatever, still no contractions. I arrived at the hospital at 12 o'clock that night. Well, 12 o'clock midnight. My water broke. Hours, I would say about 3-4 hours, no contractions. I'm trying to figure out, okay, where's the contractions? They say, this is supposed to be painful. I'm thinking I just have a high pain tolerance. I guess not, but I would say when my husband came around 6, because like I said, he was coming back from Florida, He got to the hospital around 5 or 6. I started having contractions. And those contractions, when I tell you they last for hours, I was like, oh my God, like, when is this baby gonna come, honey? When is this baby gonna come? So what ended up happening was, like I said, he had IUGR, my son. They were trying to give me Pitocin, and that was, just to speed up the contractions, but they had to stop because, he was so small. So they were saying the Pitocin was actually harming him because the contractions were harming him because he was so small. So they had to let off on that. So because I couldn't get Pitocin, I was kind of freaked out. I was like, maybe I shouldn't get an epidural. So that was my fault. I was like, I don't think I should get an epidural because I was like, maybe the epidural hurt him too. I don't know. I'm just thinking. So I was like, I got to just tough it out. So speed it up. 10:45. No. I say about 9:45, 9:50. Baby, that's when I hit them 10 centimeters and it was too late to get an epidural. I was like, crap. So it was time for me to push. He came out in like 3 or 4 pushes. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm number 2 in everything. Like, y'all don't judge me. Like, it was a lot. Like, I'm pushing the baby out. He came out in like 3 or 4 pushes, and he arrived at 10:04 a.m. He was small. He was like 4 pounds and 13.9 ounces. So that him, like I said, that was, I guess, the most dramatic birth I had, and it was my first. So December 17, 2017 is when I had my first child. Speed up, got pregnant again. My first 2, Shamar and Vance, are 14 months apart. So I had Vance February of 2019. So his birthday is February 11, 2019. Same thing. I had food aversion with him. It was no specific food aversion that I had with him. It's just I was sick. It's plain and simple. I was sick. I would say it eased up around the end of the 2nd trimester into the 3rd. Like, I would still throw up, but it wasn't as, like, dramatic. Like, I would just have that morning throw up and kind of be good the rest of the day. Same thing, like I said, just feeling sick. His wasn't super bad. I would just say, like I said, the sickness was the worst thing about the pregnancy for me. That's always the worst thing, honestly. But whatever. So, speed it up. With Vance, honestly, I guess it wasn't nothing like anything crazy or dramatic that happened with him. I would say the birth would be the most, I guess, highlight of the whole pregnancy with him. He actually was born. So basically we had church the night before, like after night service or whatever. And we lived an hour away from the church or whatever. So we got home that night around 11 o'clock. And I would say, the first 2 or 3 hours, I was like, we got home about 12 o'clock that night, honestly. It was late. We got home late. But we got home late, I would say 12 o'clock midnight that night. And on February 10th. So it's February 10th, we got home, obviously, just late. So the morning of February 11th, the early mornings of February 11th, I was laying, just moving around a lot, like, I wasn't really expecting him to come because, I always just look, the baby's going to come on around his due date, he was close to his due date. But I was just tossing and turning all that night. I was like, oh man, like, I don't feel good. But it wasn't like unbearable pain with him. Like, not pain where you would think you was in labor. I was like, nah, I'm not in labor. I'm good. So I would say around 3 o'clock, or maybe about 3:15 that morning, I got up. I said, I'm gonna have to take a shower or something because maybe a hot shower would ease the pain. Like I said, the pain was unbearable, so I didn't think I was in labor. I was like, nah, I'm not in labor. So I got in the shower and I seen blood. I said, oh my God. So I was like, this got to be something. Well, my husband was like, hey boo, listen, I'm bleeding. We need to go to the hospital. Thankfully, the hospital was down the street. Went to the hospital. Y'all, as soon as I got in that hospital, because they take you to the triage before they take you to the actual delivery room. Soon as I hit that triage, I said, oh my God. I said, I know this baby coming. They was taking their sweet time. They was like, okay, I'm trying to change my, take my clothes off because you got to change it to a gown or whatever. I'm like, boo, take my clothes off. The lady said, don't you go number 2 because if you go number 2, that might be the baby coming. I was like, yeah. So I'm trying to, change my clothes. My husband helped me put the nightgown or whatever. on. They take me to the triage room. And this next part is the part that kind of made it dramatic and kind of got me aggravated. So I guess nurses aren't supposed to actually take the baby out or touch the baby during delivery. They're just there to assist. I don't know. But the head doctor, she took so long. Like, she was not in the room. And I kept saying, hey, Q, call the doctor, because I could feel that he's coming. I could feel him coming. They were like, no, just hold it. Just hold it. I was like, baby, I can't hold this. This is not meant to be held. Like, so I'm aggravated. I'm like this. All right, Shamar, you might have to catch this baby. That's my husband. And God's like, the baby is coming. The baby is coming. Literally, I did not have to push with Vance. Literally, I did not. Like, literally, he slipped out. And soon as his head and arms were out, that's when her little behind the doctor want to walk in. Tell us something. Oh. I'm like this. Oh, yeah. Oh, get her out. Get him out. Get him out. So I was so out of it. Like, they tried to put the baby on me or whatever, but I was like, I couldn't even do it because I don't know. I was like, please don't put him on me. First of all, because I feel like I was going to drop him. Like, I was out of it. I did not want to hold him at that moment. Like, it was a lot going on. My nerves were so bad. I was like, oh. But yeah, Vance was my slippery slide, baby. So I didn't have to push with him. It hurt. But I guess it didn't hurt that bad because he just slipped on out of me. And the doctor came at the last minute. So that was the most dramatic thing with him. Now, my third child, Elias James, my little firecracker jumper boy. Yeah. His was a bit, I guess, dramatic. I would say the morning was the most dramatic thing with him. Like I said, oh, let me go backwards. With Vance, I did not have an epidural either. It was because I guess I got there so late. Like, literally, every time I go to the hospital, it's like my babies come out like this, fast. Like, I got to the hospital about 3:30, 3:45. He came at 4:01. Yeah. So I was not able to get an epidural with him either. So that sucked. But moving on to my Elias. Okay. So with Elias, like I said, my pregnancies are always the same. First sick, the first 2 trimesters, that third trimester ease up, whatever. No food, no specific food aversions. Like, everything just made me sick. Like, especially meat. I would say meat the most. So I was like a big pasta eater, like plain pastas, fruit. I can eat some fruit now. But with him, like I said, it was same as the other ones. The only thing with him, I would say that closer to his due date, I was just over being pregnant. I had 2 kids already, so that was a lot. Closer to him being pregnant, closer to him, to his delivery date, I was just trying to make up all kinds of concoctions. I was like, babe, you got to get up out of here. You are about to be evicted because I'm done with this. Like, I'm tired, okay? So with him, I would say the night before, I had made this little eggplant recipe that I saw online. They said, that'll help the baby come out, and I drank some little tea that I forgot what the name of the tea was, but I drank some tea and ate like a little eggplant recipe that they were saying, okay, this will help the baby come out. I was like, okay, let's see if this really worked. So that was, the night before he was born, obviously. So that night I was cramping really bad. But for me, I guess, I just never noticed that I'm in labor. I didn't know I was in labor. Like, I was cramping really bad, but it wasn't like unbearable pain. Like, it did hurt, but it wasn't like, oh, it's like a period cramp, a cycle cramp, whatever. Like, that's what it felt like to me. So I was like, oh, my stomach hurt so bad the whole night. So the next day, which was Sunday, I was getting my boys ready for church. And literally, while putting their clothes in between, putting each clothing item on, like, I would cramp. I was like, y'all, hold on. Oh, okay. And I'll put their clothes on. So each child, like, I'll put their clothes on, had to take their little moment, and then put their clothes on. And my friend was actually with me that day. She was like, you think you're in labor? I was like, nah, because it don't hurt that bad. Like, it hurt, but it wasn't like, oh, So I guess the contractions weren't that strong when I was putting their clothes on, whatever. So fast forward, we get in the car, we headed to the church or whatever, and I'm having bad cramps. I was like, yeah, my stomach do hurt, but I don't know. So I called my husband. I was like, I feel like I'm in labor, but I don't know. Like, it's hurting, but it ain't hurting. Like, contractions hurting. Like, the worst, I guess, the end of contractions. Like, you about to push contractions. It hurt, but not that bad. So he ended up taking me to the hospital. And as soon as, like, on the way to the hospital, that's when the contractions started getting worse. And I was kind of aggravated because, like, have you ever seen that movie, The Preacher's Wife, when Denzel Washington kept turning the the traffic lights on red and yellow and whatever, trying to stop, you know, the real husband from getting to his wife, whatever. I felt like that was happening with me, because I'm like, we was going through them lights and they kept going on red. I was like, honey, you got to run this light. The police gonna have to arrest us, or just take us to the hospital, escort or something, because this baby about to come. Like, I'm holding a little thing like this, like, hey, we got to hurry, get up there. End up going to the hospital. My husband, he tried to pick me up. I was like, no, I'm gonna walk, you know, so we can get in the door. So I guess the person saw me scrunching over. She's like, honey, do you want a wheelchair? I was like, yeah, give me the wheelchair. So they rolled me to a delivery room. And mind you, Eli was born during, I was pregnant with him during COVID time. So when COVID first hit, and when it was like out, like it's serious, but when it was like super serious, when you had to take, you know, all the little proper precautions, whatever, yeah. So when I got there, I'm already in labor. Like, I can feel him coming. Like, I know I'm contracting at this point. They were like, honey, we got to give you a COVID test. I'm in the delivery bed. I was like, do y'all have to give me a COVID test? Like, what happens if I don't get the COVID test? Because I'm already, and again, I didn't have no epidural. It was too late for me to get an epidural at this point. So I'm already aggravated. No epidural. And this is not by choice. So they saying, you got to get a COVID test. I was like, can we, what happens if I don't get a COVID test? They was like, we're going to have to treat you and the baby like y'all got COVID. I was like this. Okay. I was like, well, can I just get the COVID test after I had the baby? They was like, sure. I was like, yeah, sure. I was aggravated. Y'all don't judge me. I'm not a mean person. It was just a lot going on. So end up pushing Eli out in 3 to 4 pushes. Again, no epidural. But it's okay. End up having him, and then, you know, like I said, I had to get that COVID test. I'm already in pain. They sticking a little nose swab up my nose. I'm like, oh God. So yeah, that was really it with Eli. But that was, I wouldn't say it was dramatic, but it was a lot going on that day. So it's something always going on with me in these pregnancies towards the end. Like, I'll be having these crazy pregnancies, like what deliveries, like what's going on? Fast forward, my 4th child. My first daughter, actually, I was excited about her because I did not know we could make boys. I mean, girls. I thought we only were able to make boys. So, funny thing with her, little backstory, I was trying to wait for the gender. Like, I was just trying to let it be a surprise when I had her. And honestly, the whole time, I'm not going to lie, I thought I was having a boy. I was like, oh, it's probably another boy. And my family members who wanted to know their gender, like, basically it was a link that I sent them. And I was like, hey, you can just look at the link if you want to, you know, see what the gender is and get something, but just don't tell me. But I was actually on the phone with my grandma, and I was like, I was talking to her, I was like, yeah, can you get the boys when the baby come or whatever, you know, for like a week or so. And she was like, yeah, when you have her. I was like, her? She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm having a girl, grandma. She was like, yeah. I was like, oh my God. Like, I wasn't even bad. She told me. Like, I was just excited. I started looking at girl clothes immediately. I was like, oh my God. So that was a little backstory. I was happy about having my girl. So fast forward, like I said, with her, same thing. First two trimesters sucked. I mean, it wasn't horrible with her, but I was sick. I was sick. No specific foods that I just couldn't eat. Like, it was just hard eating food, period. So, with her, the crazy thing I would say, closer to when she was being born, because I think her due date was like June 10th or June 11th, but you got to understand that due date is like estimated, so it's not exact for everybody. She ended up being born June 13th, 2022. And I forgot to tell y'all, but Eli was born June 21st, 2020. So I always get their dates mixed up because, you know, I always want to say his is June 13th and hers is June 21st, but it's the opposite. But it's okay. So she was born June 13th, 2022, and she was my only child born in the evening. Crazy, right? Well, not crazy, but yeah. So with her, like I said, it was nothing crazy out of the ordinary. But the only thing with her was that she was born at 40 weeks. So I feel like she took her time coming out. So I was like, the day that I thought she was going to be born, like I was walking, I was sitting there waiting. I was like, any day now? Like, I just knew she was going to come out. Like, I was waiting. Like, I was literally waiting for my water to break for her. Literally, I was like, this is the day. This is the day. Because like I said, I was tired of being pregnant. Your girl was tired. Anyways. So the absolute last day, or the day she was born, my husband was actually coming home from work. So it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or 4 o'clock in the evening. Y'all, I promise to God, As soon as my husband opened the door and stepped a foot in the door of our house, I promise you my water broke. Like literally, I was putting cinnamon icing on the cinnamon rolls for my boys for dinner or whatever. And as soon as he walked in the house, I'm over by the stove. Water just pop out by the stove. I was like this. My water just broke. My water just broke. He was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." Thank God. Hospital down the street. I didn't have contractions at that moment. And, you know, even that whole day, I didn't even have contractions. Like, and if I did, I did not feel them. So I didn't feel no cramps that were just out of the ordinary. At least that I didn't feel like it was out of the ordinary. So we drove to the hospital. I didn't start having bad contractions until we got maybe 2 or 3 minutes down the road. Like, yeah, they came. And then when I got to the hospital, I was kind of aggravated because the lady at the check-in, like somebody was there before me, and I get that, but she wasn't like far in her pregnancy to where she was about to give birth. I'm telling the lady at the thing, I was like, hey, can you please take me into the bag? Because I'm asking for the epidural at the lady. I'm like, hey, can you get me in the bag? Because I'm thinking I'm getting epidural. So I was like, please get me in the bag. Please get me in the bag. I need this epidural. Because I knew she was coming. She was like, honey, is somebody ahead of you? Listen, she is not in labor. I feel bad. She might be sick, but baby, this baby got to come out. And if I had this baby on the floor, I'm going to have an issue. She taking her sweet time. I'm up here signing paper. When it came to be my turn, she had me signing papers and everything. Like, girl, I don't want to sign no papers. Get my epidural ready. And then she's like, we got to get your blood work. I don't care about no blood work. Give me this epidural. They take me to the triage. They take you to the triage to make sure you're in labor. So obviously I was in labor. You know, they measured me. I was like, ooh, Lord, I can feel the pain now. They measuring me, putting the little fingers in there. I'm like 3 or 4 centimeters. I don't know how big, but no. They were like, you're 8 centimeters, something like that. I was like, oh, Jesus. So I was like, I knew the baby about to come. They rolled me to the delivery room. I'm laying there. The lady that was actually putting my IV in, she was trying to ask me questions, I guess to calm me down. Are you ready? Are your boys excited? I looked at my husband. I was like, boo, please answer these questions for these ladies, because I cannot. Like right now, I'm not even in the mood. I cannot answer no questions. You already hooking me up, sticking stuff in my arm, and I don't feel good. I wasn't being me. I was like, I can't answer no questions right now. Not right now. So sorry to that lady. But anyways, I was telling them the same thing kind of with Vance. I was like, hey, I can feel her coming. She's like, honey, she's not coming. You're not far, like, you know, I guess you're not dilated enough. I was like, she's coming. Baby, they looked under that little cover thing. She was like, oh my God, head coming out. I was like, ooh. So I pushed her out 2 or 3 pushes. I screamed on that last push. I'll never forget the scream of death. No, sorry. The scream of life. That's what it is. The scream of life. I was saying that because it hurt. But don't listen to me. It hurt though. No epidural. Not by choice. Boom. Okay. So that was my 4th pregnancy with Samara. Currently now, I am pregnant with my 5th. Let me get up. Ow. Let's see if y'all can see how I'm looking, y'all. Yep. And I'm 30 weeks. So I'm about 30 weeks. Her due date is December 4th. And y'all, this time I'm determined to get my epidural. Now, I can go ahead and tell you how it was for her. That first trimester, even into the 2nd trimester, y'all, this is the first time, and I probably should have went with my other ones. Maybe I just didn't know. This is the first time I literally went to the hospital about 5 times to get IV and just some IV and IVs in my arms or whatever. I think the name of it is, I'll never say it right, hypermesis gravidum. I'll put it down below. That's what it was. Literally, y'all, when I first found out I was pregnant with her, I would say like that end of the 1st trimester. I'm a small person, I would say. Like usually I'm about 120 to 125 pounds. Y'all, I dropped down to about 95 pounds. I could not eat. I didn't even want to drink water. Like it was so bad, y'all. Thinking about food made me gag, throw up. And I didn't eat for so much. Like I would try to eat and I would throw it up. My throat was yellow, black. Like it was bad. Taking showers, I had to sit down in the shower as my husband had to bathe me. Like it was really bad. I could not stand up. Like I would never say people are being over dramatic when they saying they sick. Like literally walking, I had to sit down because I was about to feel like I was about to pass out. That's how bad it was. So the worst. It's not like that now. I think the only thing now is I get bad headaches, and you know, I'm in my 3rd trimester. I get those little, you know, morning sickness, but that's not that bad. But with this baby, I said, oh, me and her gonna have some beef when she come out, because this don't make no sense. Anyways, like I said, y'all, she will be here, or her due date is December 4th. So I feel like she's gonna come like that week of Thanksgiving. We will see. I don't know. But I know one thing, I'm determined to get that epidural. That's all I'm saying. I am determined. I am determined. Like, if I feel a cramp close to the due date, oh, we going to that hospital. I don't care if it's like a barely a cramp. I gotta make it. I gotta get an epidural. Okay? And I know some of y'all gonna be like, well, you did it with the first 4 with no epidural. That was not by choice. Okay? Not by choice. Like, I'm not, if I can get medicine to ease the pain, I'm going to ease that pain. Okay? So y'all wish me luck. But I'm gonna have, that's all my birth stories. So I will update you guys once she's here. I'll update you guys once she's here, and I will reveal her name. But yes, thank you for watching, and y'all pray for me. And if you guys have any questions about my experiences, you know, want to hear a little bit more deeper about my experience giving birth with no medicine, like I said, I am not an expert, but you know, I can give you a little something. Let me know, and thank you for watching.